Hello, welcome to Thoughts of the Week. This week's thought: YouTube. Can it be a career? Can we consider this a real job? What is the deal? Personally, I think it depends on the video content you make. I think your video kind of has to be able to stand on its own and for it to actually look like a lot of time and effort and passion has been put into it. I think these channels where it's just plain old gameplay or just pointing the camera at your face and just talking to it, I don't think that at all is really a career or a job. Not to say that just talking itself is not considered work for a video or whatever, but if you're not doing anything additional to it, like if you're not putting in any editing skills, you're not putting in any overlays or anything that would captivate a viewer, then I can't say that it's a job. But if you're making a video, you're scripting things out, you're plotting things out, you're kind of putting a lot of effort and time into it, I think you can consider that a job. I don't really think that I think a lot of people have this misconception or this idea that well, YouTube is just a place where everyone can upload videos and no one should be able to make money off of uploading videos on YouTube. However, they're mostly thinking of just what YouTube used to be, where people would just upload random stuff, and that stuff should not be paid for. But when you're making videos like reviews, uh, like impression videos, skits, commercials, movies, series, what have you, that kind of stuff should be considered work. Like animators, for example. Animators on YouTube should consider this a job because they have to put a lot of time and effort into animating a single frame. So I think saying that YouTube is not a career or a real job for those kind of content creators is kind of an unfair thing to say because you're really lumping these content creators with people who just make fluff videos that don't really have a lot of substance. And that's the division. That's the line I draw is that if you're making substantial content, you're making something that is very thoughtful and put a lot of effort in, then that is a job. That is a career because you're putting a lot of time, you're putting effort, you're putting your blood, sweat, and tears into it. But if you're doing something and you're just doing the bare minimum, I can't say that is a job. At that point, you might as well just work at fast food because you're not really putting a lot of effort. You're not putting a lot on the line when you're making these little fluff little videos. When you're putting a lot of stuff, like a lot of thought and effort into these videos, I think that's really when you start, making it into a career, making it into a job. And I think that's the line that we should really put down on the ground. And I think that's ultimately what YouTube should be doing with these partner services. I think that YouTube channels should not be eligible to be partnered right off the bat or with some arbitrary requirement. It should really be a process where you have to apply for it, and then YouTube would have to look at your, a certain video library or a certain group of videos. Like you have to submit the videos yourself, and they would have to look at that and say, yes, this is something that we would want to be allowed to have a monetization feature or something. I think giving it to like a blanket audience to allow their channels to be monetized is a little too much freedom, and it gives too many people this option to make it monetized. Because I think ultimately when you see these changes in monetization features, you start to see who is really doing YouTube for their passion, for the love of it, and who is really just doing it for the money. Because ultimately, for me, I didn't really care much about these decisions. I don't care about advertiser unfriendly nonsense or videos being demonetized. I might talk about it, sure, but I don't think these are huge things that are trying to censor their website because ultimately they're still allowing you to upload those videos. It's just that you're not allowed to make money off them. And that's not really the same as being silenced. Yeah, you can make the case that well they're trying to demotivate people for making videos by not making their videos monetized, but if you're making a video that you love, that you truly believe in and you spend hours of work on, you're going to make that work. And chances are you'll have an audience that will try to help you regardless. It's the same thing with Patreon. A lot of people shit on people who use Patreon, but Patreon is, to me, is a fine website to use as long as these content creators are appreciative and they're using it to fund what they're doing. If they're just taking Patreon money and just buying toys and buying nonsense shit that doesn't really do anything, that's shit. But if people use Patreon to kind of make them keep existing on a website and make them pump out more content, then there's nothing wrong with Patreon itself. it's up to the individual who's getting this money and how they attribute it and all this kind of stuff. I just think a lot of people just look at these things and just kind of go with the immediate negative idea that, oh, my money could be going to a lazy person or a person that's trying to milk the situation or something. And that is the case. Some people do exploit these things. I'm not saying that no one exploits it, but I think people need to be a little more critical in understanding that not everyone is trying to milk a system or anything. Some people might just be using the YouTube monetary system because they want to fund their job. They want to fund what they do and keep doing it. If they're doing it just for the money, then you're gonna see their true colors when their videos become demonetized. I've seen a lot of YouTube channels still make videos despite their channels being demonetized or what have you. I've seen them still exist because they love what they do. It's the complete opposite of what I see when people complain about money non-stop. And that's not to say that these people who are complaining about their salaries being less and less over the years on YouTube, that's not saying that those complaints are not valid, but at the same time, people make do with what they do. Like, even back with the copyright strikes and copyright claims nonsense that plagued the site for a long time, those channels still exist and they still make videos to this day. So there is a difference between a channel that's doing what they want to do for the passion of it and for what they love, and channels that do it solely for money. There is a difference, and you can kind of tell just by how they upload videos or how they talk about it, because ultimately that's all that matters, and you really have to make this judgment yourself instead of just making this huge widespread claim that everyone on YouTube is just doing it because it's easy. Not all these videos that you see on YouTube are easy to make. Not all of them are hard to make either, but not all of them are easy, and not all of them are lazy videos to make either. There's a lot of time and effort put into those kind of videos. Now, if you're gonna have that opinion towards me, oh, what about my channel, Theo? I don't really give one way or the other. My channel can make 1 penny a year or a century or whatever. I can make no money, and I'll still make videos because I love making videos. And that's really it, ultimately. I don't really give a shit about this monetization nonsense that's been going on YouTube. I do see where these people are coming from, but I just don't think it's that big of a deal if you find other ways to adapt your situations and you make what you love doing work. That's ultimately what's my thoughts on the situation. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. See you in the next one.